right. Well, this guy's been waiting very patiently, and I feel very bad because I love Ron Filipkowski from the Midas Touch, but I would hope that he was maybe a little bit entertained by that crazy debate that I just had with Brandon Tatum. Ron, I apologize to keep you waiting, my friend. I'm sorry about that. How are you?
That's all right. You sure you don't need a break?
No, that's okay. Talk about one.
You're used to that, huh?
Yeah, I am. I did Pierce Morgan earlier today, and I was debating Clay Travis and Roger Stone. So it's been a very interesting day for me, Ron.
Day.
You're a breath of fresh air. Let me tell you this. Before I get to any of the big stories, what did you make of some of that interview with Brandon Tatum?
Yeah. I mean, it's a classic case of somebody who lives in that right-wing media echo chamber, and just only knows what he's being fed. I mean, I follow all of these guys. I don't know that I follow him. I'm not really sure who that is, but I follow tons of MAGA people and on social media and have for many, many years, been to a lot of Trump rallies, been to a lot of conferences. And that's the mentality. They only know what they're fed from their influencers and Fox News and Newsmax. And when you're trying to come at them with like reality, like they're dumbfounded. It's like they don't know what you're talking about because they're never exposed to the other side. So
yeah,
he's just a classic case of it. You're bringing up things that are like that millions of people know and have seen that he's never seen before, or at least he claims he's never seen him before. But I believe him. I mean, he sounded like he legitimately didn't know about a lot of the stuff you were telling him about.
Crazy that he's.
I mean, like the Trump saying that he went in the locker rooms of
right.
the beauty pageant, the Miss Teen USA. I mean, that tape has been circulating for many years. Like 100 million people have seen that, but obviously
he claims he doesn't. He claims I don't know if I believe him, Ron. I think maybe you're being a little bit too nice. I don't think he's telling the truth, but I'll send it to. Did Hillary Clinton ever say that the election was stolen?
No. I mean, she called and conceded.
What is he talking about?
She conceded the next day or that night. Like
she said he was an illegitimate president, but not because she said the election was stolen, because the same reasons you and I call him illegitimate, not because we thought the election was stolen, because of his behavior and the things he does, right?
There were no lawsuits filed by the DNC or the Clinton campaign. There was no protests. I mean, look, there's plenty of Democratic activists that believe that election was stolen. There's plenty of there's plenty of people who believe the 2024 election was stolen by Elon Musk somehow. But I have not seen a single elected Democrat or Democratic official try and make that argument. I've seen activists do that. There are probably 10 million This is the difference really between MAGA and us, is that there are probably like 10 million Democratic activists who are on social media who believe sincerely in their heart that the election was stolen. The 2024 election was stolen by Trump.
Right. Yeah.
And yet none of us, influencers, attorneys, DNC officials, elected officials, Harris campaign officials, none of us entertained those various conspiracies. None of us filed lawsuits. None of us filed challenges. None of us did audits despite that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, Donald Trump does the opposite. He fans the flames and creates controversy and tries to delegitimize. So
yeah,
that's really the fundamental difference.
Completely agree with you, Ron. All right, let's get to the news over the course of the last 24 to 48 hours. This is crazy. Donald Trump saying today that he would be okay with Tom Homan arresting Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. What do you make of this story? And, it's just, this is crazy, unprecedented territory we're in.
Yeah. So, I mean, you go back, Trump said it today. Yeah. Homan said it. You go back and forth between are these guys just trying to talk junk or like they actually really serious? And I think, you have to take them seriously because they've already arrested a lot of people. I mean, they've arrested a Democratic member of Congress, a labor leader, they've arrested several officials they arrested the mayor of Newark, and then they dropped the charges and he's now suing them.
Yep.
Gavin Newsom filed a lawsuit against Trump today for illegally federalizing the National Guard. And by the way, I don't know if you saw the new San Francisco Chronicle story that just came out that Newsom posted on that, which is like those guard troops didn't even have food and water. They got called up and they just like threw them in like a makeshift barracks because, you know, they keep in mind, these aren't guys sitting at a military base. They're called up from jobs. So he activated them. They might be working in, you know, Starbucks or something, or a factory. He activated them, called them up. They show up in their uniforms. There's no food. There's no water. There's not even any beds for them to sleep in because, again, he federalized these guys. And so this was the major complaint about Newsom was, you know, we should have been in charge of this, but he stepped in and took over, and they were completely unprepared to handle it. And so
I want to ask you about that, Ron, because you served, Ron, and I wanted to ask you about this, and you talked about this on social media. These Marines, God love them, they're heroes, but at the same time, they're not trained to handle this sort of stuff. They're trained to deal with the enemy, not our own people. And I don't understand why MAGA Republicans struggle to realize that that's a last resort, right? To deploy these people in there, not a first resort. There are some serious crimes that have been taking place, but local law enforcement said they have it. The governor says we don't need your help. The mayor says we don't need your help. Can you explain to people why this is so dangerous, what Donald Trump is doing, deploying these people in there?
So the last time the federal government called up the National Guard against a state governor's objection was 1965, Lyndon Johnson, who did it during the civil rights movement in Alabama. That was the last time. So obviously this doesn't happen very often. The last time the Marines were used against Americans or in American cities was the Civil War. So it's been almost 200 years. So that's where we're at. And I tried, when he mentioned 29 Palms, it sort of hit home for me because, you know, I was stationed in Camp Pendleton, and I spent a lot of time at 29 Palms. And I just thought of like myself being in that position, like as an 18, 19-year-old Marine, and you're told like you're being sent to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like you train I went through desert warfare school, mountain warfare school, jungle warfare school, all kinds of warfare schools, but we don't go through like urban law enforcement school or deportation school. There's no training on it. So it's like, what are you going to do? Like, we're trained to kill people. Like, that's what we're prepared to do, is fight wars. And you're going to send us into an American city? I just couldn't imagine having to deal with that as a young Marine, or what I would be supposed to do, you know?
Yeah, it's just absolutely despicable and crazy times that we are living in. What do you think happens here? I don't think Holman would do that. I mean, what's the crime that Gavin Newsom has committed, number one? And number two, what do you make of Donald Trump laughing about it in front of like a little press corps when he was getting off of Air Force One? What did you make of that earlier today?
Yeah. I mean, he was asked this afternoon, what crime did Newsom commit? And he said he ran for governor. Okay, well, you know, typical Trump is like, you know, and he's calling for them to arrest people that wear face coverings.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a crime. He's just calling for federal law enforcement to start arresting anybody wearing a mask at a protest.
Right.
Completely illegal. So, you know, would he arrest Newsom? No. I mean, he's not going to arrest Gavin Newsom. I think that's all just BS talk. But I think he could arrest local officials on the ground. I definitely think that he could do that. But do I think he'll escalate it to like Mayor Bass or Gavin Newsom? No.
Probably not. But you never know with Donald Trump. I guess we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. What else, Ron, do you have working on today? Obviously, the developments in LA are really important, but I think in a way it kind of takes away from everything else that's going on. What's going on in Ukraine right now? What's going on in Gaza right now? Again, when we look at the economy, when we look at the future, and a lot of people saying we're in for a recession. I mean, I feel like it takes away from everything else that we were talking about last week.
You know, you hear this a lot. You hear this a lot from members of Congress, and you hear this a lot from activists as well, who each have something that they care about a lot. And whether it's this or the crypto or anything, that Trump does, you always hear this refrain, which is like, he's doing this to distract us from something else. Well, you know, I don't think that he does do that. I don't think he's playing like 4D chess in any way. I think he's just manic, crazy, in deep cognitive decline. And every single day he just creates mayhem because that's what he does. So I don't think there's like any specific plan, but I agree. And I catch myself all the time saying like, don't spend too much time on this. It has to be covered, but there's still a lot of other things that need to be covered, like the big, beautiful bill and all that. So we can't get distracted on that. Although this is a super important story that needs a lot of attention.
Ron, before I let you go, on a lighthearted note, as you recall, when Joe Biden was president, if he stumbled anywhere, MAGA Republicans and the Sean Hannitys and Laura Ingrams of the world would lead with it for their entire show. And I find it interesting that Donald Trump is stumbling upstairs and looks like he falls down. It's interesting. Fox News and OAN and Newsmax, they don't seem to be showing that video, Ron. I wonder why.
Well, let me just tell you, as I said, as somebody who follows right-wing media and stuff, I seen just those Biden, every single time Biden would mispronounce a word or slip or trip or whatever, every time it would just be everywhere for days and days and days. For 4 years, I don't. And in fact, I told the guys, I'm like, I'm actually kind of happy that Biden's not president anymore because I just don't have to see all that Biden stuff anymore because it was just like nonstop. So, you know, it's kind of funny, like when you go ahead and you post that and you start making fun of it, all these MAGA accounts follow me, you know, and they're all like, how can you make fun of him for tripping? How dare you? You know, they're all outraged and, you know, what about Biden? And it's like, yeah, dumbass. If you guys didn't do this with Biden for 4 years, I wouldn't even care that Trump tripped on the stairs.
Right.
Like, who cares? But it's because you did this to Biden for 4 years. And now Trump, who's taking the presidency, who's the same age Biden was at this point in his presidency, he's going to be tripping a lot. He's mispronounced his words a lot. And look, Ben last night on the Midas Touch podcast, he did like a 15-minute montage of all of Trump's slip-ups and everything. So it's kind of funny on two grounds. It's funny from them complaining. It's also funny when you like post something like that on Blue Sky to have like a lot of the liberals will be like, this is ageist. This is not right. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, we got to be a little bit more ruthless here. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, I wouldn't be picking on like, I don't know, Chuck Grassley, you know, on this, but Donald Trump is a special case.
Yes, I certainly agree. Ron, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Sorry we ran a little late there. I always appreciate your time, my friend. We'll let you get back to it. I'm sure you're going to be writing up some stuff on LA. I'm sure that's what you're working on right now.
Yeah, I am.
Look forward to reading it. You got a great Substack, man. You're one of the best. Ron, I appreciate you coming on, my friend. Thank you so much.
See ya.
See you, Ron. All right, Ron Filipkowski, everybody from Midas Touch, one of my favorites in the business.